Man, I got a box full of them things. Look at that. CR Pattersons and Sons, man, autographed copies by my great friend Christopher Nelson. We got them right here on deck. And so I got these for the staff. I think he sent me 50 or 55, I don't know. I may have a few left. If you're especially if you're in this market, you want a book, let me know. Man, we're going to send you one of these because this story is life-changing. If you work in this industry, this is a life-changing story. These individuals are top chefs. Now, let me tell you a couple of things about this. All right, CR Patterson and Frederick Patterson, they're the first black automotive manufacturer. So they were an OEM at the turn of this new technology. Powerful stuff. Built their car in 1915. The first car patent was built in 1884 by Carl Benz. And so we're talking about hot stuff, man. Really spectacular. A big deal. CR died in 1909, but his son Frederick continued on. Now, Frederick is also, if you're educating, Frederick is also the first black aftermarket car builder. Because what Frederick did, Frederick was somebody who said, this is a new technology. Think about the electric car now. You know, how are you going to dispose of batteries? What can you do? You know, I had a meeting with some individuals from Toyota, some executives. They said, man, boy, if you can figure out how to handle these batteries, you're going to make a whole bunch of money. I said, well, I ain't figured that out. You know? So he was the first one that was black that said, I'm going to be an aftermarket professional and I'm going to service these OEM cars. The other thing he said was, I'm going to build my own OEM car. So really illustrious, really big deal. They started as a carriage maker. You get yourself this book. This book is becoming a movie, and it's going to be based on a lot of this research that Christopher Nelson has done. Really exciting stuff there. So I'm really excited to share this with you. There's also a huge museum that's breaking ground here. I think it opens. It's already broken ground. It opens in 2026 to the public, and one of the feature items is going to be a CR Patterson car built right here in Houston, Texas, man. So really exciting story. Hey, I'm gonna give you a couple of insights. I'm sure Chris is gonna come on here. He gonna fact check me and all that stuff in a little bit, and he's probably gonna put a link to his website where you can get this book. You can get this in your hand. Powerful story. But I think it was yesterday Chris and I talked, and we talked for maybe 2 hours, man. Every time I talk to him, we swap conversations, and boy, we share knowledge, and or maybe I do most of the listening, he's doing the sharing. But really powerful stuff. So a couple of things we talked about. One is there's I said, hey, there's this question about whether CR Patterson was born in slavery. What's the deal on that? I'm someone who's taught this story many times, and a lot of times I teach it from the perspective he was born into slavery. When I do my research, and there's not a lot of scholarly research out there on CR Patterson, so a lot of it is just passed down information that people have just said was truth. You know, there was one resource that came out in 1980 that didn't have a lot of citations, a lot of research, a lot of primary sources, and it was like he was a slave. He traveled across all the way to Greenfield. He worked as a blacksmith on his way to, well, that didn't happen, you know. And so how is that proven? Well, it's proven by two ways. The first way, Christopher Nelson has had the opportunity to have all history from the family. So CR Patterson's great-granddaughter, which would be Frederick's granddaughter, she just died in 2021, but there's extensive interviews where she says we were a free family. And she was born somewhere in the 1920s, somewhere in there she was born. And it was maybe 1930s, but she was in that period where she understood that no, this is not our history. This is where we were not slaves. It's just not that we're running from that identity. That's just not our truth. So CR Patterson, who was born in 1833. He was born free. He wasn't born a slave. These little tidbits are really, really important to really understand the story. But not only was he free, his father was born free. Not only was his father born free, his father was born free. And so her memory was, I think it was fourth or fifth generation to her oral history. So what Chris did, he went and he looked for primary sources, census reports, tax records, and all this kind of stuff. And he was able to verify that they were not born slaves. That he was able to vet and verify that oral history that was in the family. I just think that's an important piece of information because the story is just based on facts. We're not going to put it together. We're not trying to cook it. That's one piece of information that's very, 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 very powerful. Also in that oral history, she shared that CR Patterson went to college. So when you look at the stories, his son Frederick Patterson, CR Patterson sued for Frederick Patterson to go to school. And, you remember the time of separation and all that kind of stuff was going on. Anyway, he went to the primary school that was white, and they wouldn't let him go, so he sued. And just really forward thinking in the way they did stuff. So it's a powerful, illustrious story. Another tidbit of information, you can read some of this in here, but when you read the story, it's really illustrious. Another thing is that some people believe, and I think at one point in my teaching of the lesson, you think that CR Patterson passed. But through the years of just being more and more educated and nuanced in this story, they promoted themselves as black owned, black operated. That's the way they operated. African American owned. That was their thing. They were part of the Negro League. There's primary sources that illustrate where this company advertised as a black-owned enterprise. And now, what you must understand is their labor force was not black. And their clientele was not largely black. So they served all types of people. But the reality is they did not become successful because due to the lighter complexion of their skin, they were able to pass. I'm talking about a powerful story, man. CR Pattersons and Sons, first black automotive manufacturers in this country. We're talking about CR Patterson, the first black aftermarket builder in this country. I think they should be put in the SEMA Hall of Fame. Now, I've said that to some people. You probably listening. Yeah. They should be put in a SEMA Hall of Fame because you ain't got not one black person in there. This will be a good black person to put in there, I think. That's my belief system. That's my passion system. But we're talking about an amazing story. We're talking about an illustrious story. Now, this is becoming a movie. And the movie is in development. And we think we're going to have a hand in that as well as far as helping create an automotive machine that represents the only Patterson-Greenfield that exists. We're also doing that with the museum. We have an opportunity. We're putting some things behind the scenes in place, but we're talking about the opportunity to build, to manifest in a three-dimensional reality. We're talking about the only that we know of replica recreation of a Patterson-Greenfield. So we're really excited about that. A lot of big things going on. This story has been a part of my life and my journey for a long time. So I like learning about it. But they did not pass. And a lot of times minorities, whether you're black, whether you're a woman, or whether you're Hispanic, or whether, no matter what region you're from, a lot of times you think you have to deny yourself to be successful. Now, you got to get in your own swag. See, I get in my own skin. I live out my own swagger. Now, I'm a little bit different. I move with a little bit of ba-da-ba-da-ba. But, I mean, that's just where I'm made, man. Some dance on the upbeat, some dance on the downbeat. I dance on the downbeat. So it's just different. You got to be yourself. And what I love about this story, if you're a woman, this is your story. If you're a little bit different, this is your story. Maybe you're from a small town. This is your story. Maybe you feel like you have some limitations. You don't know the right people. You don't have the right contacts. This is your story. But they did not pass through history. I don't want to go too deep. So I would just say it's a little bit inside information. So this movie was about to I don't want to say launch, but it was in discussion many years ago about being produced. And one of the challenges was that the story was going to be told wrong. And what we want to make sure, just those who, when I say we, those who are passionate about the story, and tell the story right. Just tell the story right. And this is a story about the American spirit. This is a story about good white folk and good black folk joining forces and doing something illustrious and extraordinary in life. What an amazing story. The other thing about this story, some other tidbits of history that's important. Okay, so CR Patterson and JP Lowe, you'll hear that name, JP Lowe, in the story. Listen, everyone needs an ally. Everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs someone to shake hands with. Everyone needs somebody to do business with. I would not be who I am without my clients. I have some of the greatest clients in the world. I really have. You know, people look at a car that's built, they go, wow, that's twin turbos, Art Morrison chassis. Well, somebody had to pay for it. And so you have to cultivate the right clientele. You have to cultivate relationships. Man, everybody ain't my kind. Everybody ain't my client. That's just the way that works. And I'm not everybody's kind. I'm not everybody's builder. It's just the way it works. So, but when you find a happy alignment between two individuals in the earth, amazing things can happen. Okay, so somewhere in the early 1860s, these two individuals are working together. Who? J.P. Lowe, a white man, and C.R. Patterson, a darker skin, not as dark as me, but a darker skin black man, are working together as blacksmith in the shop. The foreman of the shop, trivia, C.R. Patterson. So C.R. Patterson is a foreman. Now, this company that they're working for is not black owned. So this is a mainstream company, blacksmith company they're working for in this area. These two individuals are co-workers. That's how they got together. And CR was a supervisor. They came up with the idea of, let's go in business together. We can make these carriages. We can do this thing. Let's serve the high end of the market. Let's give individuals the opportunity to have it any way that you want it. You're talking about custom car building, baby. That's what they was doing with carriages, though, you know. So, but it was custom. This is not like the man carriage down the street. This ain't your granddaddy's carriage, man. This is a different type of carriage. And that's the market that they went after. I said that Briggs and Stratton and a lot of others, there were a lot of carriage makers that had one or two or three styles, and they made thousands of them. This company was built to be a low volume visionary that says, you know what? We're just going to make them unique. We're going to make them better than the other companies from the perspective, we're going to allow you to be unique. I guess I got to hurry up with this story. I know you're busy. Listen, though, an amazing story. These two joined together. They own the business. It's called Lowe and Patterson initially. They bring on other investors. The Patterson name comes off, and I think it's Lowe and Company at that point. So now we're somewhere in the mid-70s, and they're heralded as one of the greatest carriage makers in the world. What an illustrious moment. They own multiple patents at this time. CR Patterson owns multiple patents, and he was paid royalty by the big boys who was using his patent. One of them was like some kind of sliding door on one of their carriages, but just really on one of the shirts. Really big deal. Okay, so J.P. Lowe and C.R. Patterson, I love this story. I hope they put this story in the movie, but I love how this relationship of two men in society back in that time period, they said, y'all ain't got no business being together. Y'all ain't got nothing in common. And here they are. They not only were co-workers, they went from co-workers to being business partners. Now, there was a great recession somewhere in that Greenville area around 1893. And at that time, J.P. Lowe had an opportunity to become the banker. And the stock was already falling in this company. Now, mind you, 10 years earlier, C.R. Patterson had started buying the others out. And so now it's just him and J.P. Lowe again. He's just a different kind of thinker. So J.P. Lowe gets out, C.R. Patterson buys him out, and he changes his name to what? CR Patterson and Sons. And they push forward with their illustrious career of just being extraordinary and what they're doing in the earth. I mean, you're talking about amazing. So, but they're in the carriage business. But you got to understand that that's transportation. So they're in the transportation business. It's not where they were in the cars and this, they were building carriages. No, it's transportation. So when you start talking about automotive history and automotive pioneers, I don't care who you call, they were there. They were there before Henry Ford. You know, they were there. You know, they were there before Carl Benz came out with the car. They was already in transportation. So just a powerful, rich story. And if you're listening out there, it tells you, man, do that thing now. Go on and believe bigger than you can believe. I want you to know that God has called you to do something great in the earth, man. And this story here, man, is proof positive that anybody, somebody, one person, one man, when two join together, and there's a vision deposited in them, man, who knows what that's going to birth into. So these two, J.P. Lowe and CR Patterson, they stay together. Now, what I love about this is J.P. Lowe goes and becomes the banker. We'll tell you more about these stories later, but he becomes a banker. Now, CR Patterson, a lot of people said that the company went out of business there in the mid-1920s and in the early 1900s because they just couldn't get funding. They couldn't get funding. Well, really, they had funding. In today's terms, it would be tens and tens of millions of dollars just in mortgages. And the bank would loan them money because they was a sure thing, man. You're talking about an A+ credit rating. This black man, he had it. This small builder, he had it. And so they loaned from many in that, being a big commerce in that region. But guess who they got most of the relationships from? Old J.P. Lowe, man. J.P. Lowe knew that was his home run pitch, man. He go over there. And that relationship stayed. So now in 1905, this fella came out. You probably heard of him. I don't know if you heard of him or not. Somewhere around 1905, they came out with this fella by the name of Henry Ford. Really by 1902. This fella Henry Ford come on the scene, and he doing his little thing in 1902. I mean, I don't know. He just another guy. Boy, he go from being another guy to being that dude. 1905, he dominates. So somewhere around 1907, 5 years later, Frederick says, you know what? We got to go in the automobile. But boy, that other fella, that old LeBron, that old Michael Jordan, that old Tom Brady, named what? I mean, Henry Ford, he ain't stopped. And so he started buying everybody out. You know, everybody was independent. Everybody was buying from everybody. And what Ford started doing, I'm going to buy you. You're going to be exclusive to me. I'm going to buy you. You're going to be exclusive to me. But a great story. Go back to Frederick, but I'm going to go back to Frederick Lowe. Frederick was the first African-American football player at the Ohio State University. Just, man, you're talking about some first. You're talking about a rich family of heritage and history. What an amazing story that has been verified not only through oral history, but primary sources. And that's what makes this literary work of Christopher Nelson so unique and this story so amazing is that we really have it. And it's not another Black history story. This one is different, man. And this is a story about an American spirit. It's not, he just happened to be Black. But this is the story of an American spirit. And the ingenuity and about capitalism and about togetherness and that type of thing. So anyway, J.P. Lowe stayed with the family as far as a business relationship. And Frederick, all the way to the mid-20s, there's primary sources where Frederick was loaning money from the particular bank. He was in business. He was doing big. They own a huge city block. You know, they talk about having over 50 employees at one time. A large percent of those employees were white mixed in with Black. And they said they never had one racial tension. You know, my shop is culturally diverse. They got Black folk and white folk and Asian folk and folks from Colombia and folks from Hawaii and folks from New York and folks from Houston, Texas and folks from the other side of Houston, Texas and folks from Mexico and just people from all over the world. And what's so California and what's so, we got to work with them California folks too sometimes. No, I'm just joking. But it's amazing to see all of these individuals from all different walks of life come together. There's something about transportation. There's something about an automobile. There's something about a shared infinity. There's something about a car. Anyway, CR Patterson. Man, I got them books. Chris, thank you so much. Look at them, man. Hey, as we say, I got them on deck, baby. I got them on deck. As we say, I got them on deck. I got them on deck. I got stacks and racks. That's what my little daughter told me the other day. Daddy, that racks and, baby, what you know about racks and stacks and... Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for indulging me. This is a story that's passionate to me. Man, I believe it will change your life if you read this book. Take care.